Steven Garcia here, and I have been loving this new guitar and string setup so much that I felt the need to post a video about it. It is the Kremona Lulo Reinhardt series Damien model. So it is a 14th, is joined here at the 14th fret, and Lulo Reinhardt has a history of being in Gypsy Jazz originally before he did he's doing his more flamenco gypsy kind of fusion kind of thing. And so when he switched over to his solo stuff, he made these guitars. He made one that's a little more geared for finger style. It's joined at the 12th fret. The strings are a little further apart. But this guitar is very obviously a callback to his Gypsy Jazz days, because back when he played Gypsy Jazz when he was younger, he actually used a nylon string guitar. And so this guitar is just absolutely wonderful. If you play Gypsy Jazz, first off, if you play Gypsy Jazz, you'll be doing, if you do proper technique, you'll be doing a lot of thumb over voicings for both the major, minor, for all your different chords are going to have some type of thumb over voicing. This guitar has a nice thick neck that allows you to very comfortably grip it as such, and yeah, you get really nice kind of grip for that kind of thing. Another thing that this guitar has that's nice is in flamenco you have what's called the golpe, and so you have this tap guard, but it's actually really nice for Gypsy Jazz, because if you play Gypsy Jazz, the kind of solo technique is going to have, you're going to be scratching your fingers, the back of your fingers along here in order to get proper Gypsy Jazz technique. In order to get proper speed doing Gypsy Jazz, you'll need to do that, and this golpe, this kind of guard, helps with that. It's traditionally for flamenco, for the tapping part of it. So like that. But it's really handy for playing Gypsy Jazz because you have it up here for when you're doing rhythm, and then you have it up down here for when you're playing lead. So it's really quite handy. So this thing is, it's nice and thick. So it's got a nice full loud. It's quite. It's got some volume to it. You can even switch up your pick. So if you switch up your pick to a heavier, brighter sounding pick, you get even more volume. So you get a really nice sound, loud sound out of it. And you know what? I can't talk about this guitar without talking about the strings. These strings really also made the guitar. When the guitar first arrived from Kremona, it had some generic classical guitar strings on it, which are fine and dandy. But when you're trying to play something that you need volume and expressiveness with your single note to your picado, you really need something a little better. And so I was a little underwhelmed when it first arrived, but when I switched them over to flamenco strings, I was pleasantly surprised. Not only that, but I have tried several different types of flamenco strings, and these are the best ones that I have found that really bring out the sound of this guitar. It's the Aquila Sugar Extra High Tension Flamencos. So Ruben Diaz and the guys over Aquila helped formulate or work together to formulate these strings, and they are just an absolute joy to play in this kind of a setup. Um, the bass strings are are red. They're coated. They're if you're familiar with Hispanic music, you know, like the requinto or any of the Latin instruments, those Latin instruments will also have red bass strings, and that's a coating on them. Um, that's to help reduce tarnishing and help them last longer. So you have to replace your basses not as often, which is great. Also, that I think they lend to the actual signature sound of it. Um, I imagine that it mutes some of the lower bass overtones, so it brings out a nice mid-range punch that's absolutely wonderful. That mid-range kind of punch is what you want for gypsy jazz and flamenco kind of fusion kind of a thing. So these strings really they have punch and mid-range in the lowers. They have a sweetness to the tops. You know, one of the common complaints that I've seen about these strings is that there's a squeakiness to them, and I found that to be the case when I first put them on. But once they string to tension, not only do they hold intonation and tension quite nicely, but they I'm not finding any type of squeak. Not only that, but the natural squeakiness, the natural kind of fret squeaky noise that you get from these lower strings is actually reduced because of this coating on it. So it's actually nice. You can do, and not only can you do, big old fat, D major 6/9 chords, and it's very clear, articulate, no clashing overtones or anything, but you can do movements like that, and there's not the traditional classical guitar string noise that you get from the bottom three bass strings. So this is hands down the best nylon string guitar setup for gypsy jazz. I highly, highly recommend it. It's the only setup I've found so far that's acceptable. Because you still get a nice warmth if you want to. But you also get the kick if you need it. For the flamenco kind of Latin thing. And if you switch your pickup, it makes it great. If you switch your pickup to a thicker plastic pick, you can get a really nice le pompe, so the rhythm sound of gypsy jazz. Just an absolutely wonderful setup. I will be recording an entire album with this, so I am recording, producing, and self-recording, self-producing, and self-releasing for the first time ever in the Gypsy Jazz Gypsy Jazz realm, a quintet. So myself on 5 different instruments, all recorded by myself, and this will be one of the instruments that is on every track in the entire album, including doing solo pieces, such as just a little taste of what's on the album. An entire album, self-recorded, produced, and released. This will be one of the featured guitars on the entire album. Come check it out. The Steven Garcia Quintet. The guitar is the Kremona Lulo Reinhardt Damien model. He has 2 different models. The Damien model is the one that's more set up for pick playing. Great if you're a fan of Raphael Faze. Raphael Faze does the same exact thing where he does that Gypsy Jazz Flamenco fusion kind of thing, and a lot of his solo stuff is him playing solo guitar with a pick. And one of these kind of guitars, not quite this model, but very similar, and with flamenco strings. And it's hands down the best setup you can have for Gypsy Jazz. It's the only setup that I recommend for Nylon. The Aquila extra high tension flamenco sugar strings are what you're going to look for. Absolutely wonderful.